I'll tell you about all of it.
We are back on. I don't know what happened. I don't know what crazy bollocks happened then. Why does this stuff happen?
It only because it does to us because we talk controversial stuff.
It's nuts, though.
I know. Happens to me and Abs and Ash all the time.
No,
all the time.
It is weird. We were on a roll as well.
I was trying to have a conversation with somebody the other day about something, and the phone signal went out 5 times when they were on strong Wi-Fi, and then I joined a friend doing a live feed on stuff, and it's all spiritual stuff. And there were like 3 earthquakes when he was trying to do the live feed, and he got cut off. And you're just like, they can't stop us though. We're going to talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. Nobody's going to stop us.
No. And I couldn't care less who listens, to be honest.
It is crazy. It happens so often that I've just got to the point now where I'm like, okay.
We've caught it on some of our podcast recordings live stuff and voices and Russian speaking language and all kinds of strange stuff that Ash has actually caught on tape.
He's got it.
Yeah.
Stop. Let's see if Lucy's in the chat. How spooky. Well, that's through me.
No, yeah. What are we talking about again? What we're talking about isn't like my forte, because the only thing about Yule that I have like this huge question of, is it real or is it not, is like this Norse thing of where they used to dry these psychedelic mushrooms and
you've got my full attention.
Yeah,
trust
they used
you.
to have, right, mushrooms, and Holly's like, oh hey. So they used to get these psychedelic mushrooms and dry them and hang them off the trees to dry.
Right.
And then they'd give them as gifts to people.
I love these people.
And you can imagine, like, if you're in Norway and you're tripping, reindeer are going to fucking fly, aren't they? So,
yeah.
Is this a thing, though? I've never been to Norway. I've never taken mushrooms. No, I have been to Norway, but I've never taken mushrooms. I can imagine it in Norway, though. It's a bit...
Holly, you're going to have to test this theory out.
I feel I'm going to have to head over to these Nordic countries for research purposes.
Test it.
And, you know, if I bump into Kimi Räikkönen when I'm there, you know,
win.
It would just be for the win. You know, fast cars, reindeers flying.
Why not?
Angels on tops of trees. You'll
Makes
see all
sense,
sorts.
doesn't it?
Well, yeah. And that's what I think about the whole fairy thing as well, the fae. Where people just tripping their balls off. I seeing all sorts and then thinking, little people, that's what it was.
You know, when I was a kid with my very unconventional childhood, I remember my mum taking me to obviously it was a rave or something. God, it sounds so bad. And I was really little and obviously not really understanding at that age that certain grown-ups took certain substances to see things. I remember my mum and her friend, they must have just took acid or something, I don't know. And they could genuinely were talking about fairies. So I think they were obviously tripping, using hallucinogens to see things. So my grounding of like thinking fairies, because they are real, just to be very, very clear, because one dies.
Yes, we don't want one to die.
We want none of them to die, definitely not. So for years, I think because it was so part of the conversation, given the unconventional childhood that I had, that I had a very keen belief in them. Not that they're not real, because they are real, but I remember getting to high school and being very like chitty chatty about my like really weird life, and I remember some kids being like, "What the fuck? What?" And it's interesting how still at my, I'm going to be 37 soon, and I've still got this real, not childlike, maybe childlike Disney, no, not Disney, Like, I'm still obsessed with anything fairy related. So do you remember those? Remember the Flower Fairies collection?
Yeah.
Like, there's the holly tree flower fairy. There's the buttercup. There's the daffodil.
I never got one.
There was a bluebell one, wasn't there? I remember the
Yeah.
bluebell one. I had like the plaster of Paris kit and I made them and then painted it, and I remember the bluebell.
Let me bring it up. Kids,
Oh,
you know,
you'll make me sad because I never got one.
No, there was blue cornflower. That's what it was.
Oh,
Blue
no,
cornflower.
Blue
That was it. I
cornflower
remember
fairy.
that.
oh no, I'll get you one. Oh no, don't. They're the best things ever.
Well, I never got one. I obviously I was a Care Bear and a My Little Pony girl.
I did like My Little Ponies, but I was Polly Pocket was mine. I'd do
Right.
anything for a Polly Pocket. Do you know? Not everything. But do you know how collectible they are now? If I just saved all my shit from my childhood, I'd be a multimillionaire right now.
Same as trolls.
Yeah, but you
the old
didn't.
trolls or popples, things like that.
Let
Real
me just share
retro
this.
toys. I've just found a picture of the blue cornflower fairy.
Go on, do you want to whack it
Cornflower
up?
fairy.
Hang on, let me just enlarge. There's so many of them. They're just so beautiful. Hang on. Boom, boom, boom. Is it working? Oh, watch. It's all going to go bananas again.
We can't see anything.
Can you see something now?
It's thinking about it.
Yeah.
There they are. I'm so very jealous. Later.
So, you know that app that I'm obsessed with that has bankrupted me?
Yes.
Which I'm not going to say in here because I don't want anyone else to be in the unfortunate situation that I'm in and has spent that much money. They've got there's some dude on there that's got the full collection of them. And I've been like, we've been messaging back and forth, and I've got him down from like, Greg's in the chat. I've got him down from like 10 quid. Down to like 4. Well, I think if I brought 10 plates, you'd do 450. But I'm going off track now anyway. So,
well, can I just, while we're talking on that subject, can I just add that you girls got me to get onto this certain app that can't be named, right? So I've got a bit of an obsession with Vivienne Westwood, Melissa shoes, right? And now I've got like 67 bids in for things, but not everyone is willing to negotiate.
Some of them are right.
So if I'm bankrupt by the end of the year, Holly, it's your fault.
Oh, everyone blames me for everything anyway.
We'll do an intervention, Nat. It'll be all right.
No, I need an intervention. I had a full-on blow up with a woman because I got this beautiful dress for Christmas, and I can't get without getting into anything. I can't get my shape. I can't get into everything. Let's just leave it at that, as you girls know. And it was a particular dress that I could get the girls into. I hadn't arrived, and I proper sent this very abusive message, and then the postman knocked on the door with it, and I was like, oh. But anyway, whoopsie. So, fairies.
Yes.
I don't think you've been to Glastonbury, have you, Natalie? Natalie, got the full title there. You've been, haven't you?
I haven't, no.
You haven't?
Road trip, ladies.
Haven't you?
I haven't been to Avalon, haven't been to Glastonbury. I need to go, it's on the list.
Oh my goodness. Well, if you're around in the UK in spring, we will be doing a massive CE5 heist thing.
I'll come over for that.
Just come over for it. We're going to be doing something in summer. Avebury.
I'm so excited about that.
Have to do Avebury.
We've got so many things happening next year on the whole alien front. Lucy's been to Avalon. Me and Lucy have been up to the tour together with our children, and we've also done the White Springs. But I make no secret about my love of initiated contact with them, my love of the paranormal. You know, we all share those things. But when I was about 14, I genuinely believe we heard and saw a little person in Glastonbury. And if there's any place little people, fairies, gnomes, tree dwellers, whatever, were going to present themselves, I believe it would be in the magic of Avalon. So for those people who are listening, who don't know what it is, Glastonbury is a town here in the UK, a very magical, both with a K and a C, space. It's on the St. Michael's ley line, I believe. Loads of Arthurian legends. Morgan Le Fay, the Queen of the Fairies. Avalon is actually where Glastonbury Tor is, and it's got it's a sacred mound that's got 2 springs at the bottom. So you've got the white spring and the red spring, the red well, and it's about the duality. So the red is a woman's menstruation, and the white is a man's woo woo, and it mixes together. You know, I can't say these words. You know I can't.
Do you mean semen? Well, let's give it the biological
Seed.
word. Semen. Not woo woo.
Ejaculate.
Oh,
Ejaculate. Oh,
Sorry, I had to go there. I could go
things.
worse, but I'm give it a few more shows.
Holly's having a heart
dying.
attack there in the corner.
Isn't it funny how much of a prude I am?
Yeah,
It is when you're not a prude about a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I
you're
know.
really not. There's some of the messages
But you won't say the word semen.
Catholic guilt.
God. Okay.
Catholic guilt. I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
Guilt. Yeah, right.
No, it is. It's got to be.
Sounds like
Anyway.
Lucy's up for a road trip as well. She's put in the chat.
Yes, we were going to do it. Well, I think we'll do a road trip. But my point is about Avalon. It's where all of the different it's where all of the various kind of woo-woo, like people that are into fairies, goblins, mystical, magic, you know, anything around the wider phenomenon, people converge on this place. So it was of no surprise to me that the first time I experienced something I feel was a little person, a fairy, a mythical creature, an elemental, whatever you want to call it, appeared there. And it always stuck with me, that experience, because so many of my experiences seem to happen in these very sort of mystical, magical places. So my question is, are these mythical creatures, or are these supernatural creatures, or whatever they are they attracted to places that have this type of energy, or on the flip side, are we attracted to see them there because of that type of energy resides there? Is it an energy thing? Is the things that I'm just, what do you think it is that makes these really like prolific sites like Glastonbury, like Stonehenge, like Avebury, like Callanish on one of the islands in Scotland? They all report, paranormal activity, they report UAP activity, but a lot of places, and it's not as widely known, all report activity of the Fae or of, little people. So why is that? No.
Energy.
I was about to say the same thing. It's all down to the energy.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't build a city on something that has that kind of energy. You'd keep it sacred. And you wouldn't catch Fae in the city, would you really? At a push, maybe, but...
I watched a very interesting documentary, and it turned out to go a bit like not where I thought it would go. And it was to do with engineering and the building of bridges. Okay.
Sounds riveting, darling.
Riveting. I know.
Riveting.
But it then went on to go to Iceland about this bridge that they had to build. And they had to build it so the fairies could cross the road.
Yeah, it's massive. They leave like offerings out, and don't they have like a day off?
And they actually diverted this roadway to build this special little crossing for the Fae to use, and it cost so many, hundreds of thousands of pounds more. But it was fascinating to when they interviewed the locals and things, and they were all very serious about, no, we have to go out of our way to make sure that the Fae have space to cross.
62% of their nation believe in the existence of elves and fairies over there. It's huge. It's massively
superstitious, aren't they?
Part of their culture. And equally in places even that, I come from a very Irish family. Even in places in Southern Ireland, there's places denoted for the small people. And that's where a lot of the sort of fae tradition in Celtic times is Celtic tradition. There is the little people over there. But yeah, I'm so glad that you've mentioned that. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Huddle in Scouse. Huddlefolk. Huddlefolk. I'm saying it wrong. Sorry, anyone in Iceland. Or hidden people are elves in Icelandic and Faroese folklore. They are supernatural beings that live in nature. They look and behave similarly to humans, but live in a parallel world. Maybe they live in my world. These could be my people.
You live in their world more like.
How cool is that though? But a whole nation. I'm sure they have a day off for them or something. The term huddle folk was taken as a synonym of alpha elves in the 19th century Icelandic folklore. Wow. And they fall in
this
love
was
with
on
them.
like a program about, proper engineering feats in building bridges and stuff. And then it went off on this tangent about fairies in Iceland. It was great.
Let's go. Let's go to Iceland.
It's a lovely place
Be
if
at
you've not
one.
been.
Be at one with like the elves. Oh, I'm ready to go. There are 4 Icelandic holidays considered to have special connection with hidden people. New Year's Eve, 13th night, which is January the 6th, Midsummer's Night, Ovs, and Christmas night. Elf bonfires are a common part of the holiday festivities.
Wow.
There are many Icelandic folk tales about elves and hidden people invading Icelandic farmhouses during Christmas and holding wild parties. Yeah, I am definitely in the wrong country.
Have you ever been to see the fairies of Gattaca? They don't live far from you.
Like as in Gattaca in Liverpool.
Like my yard.
As in between your house and mine. Mm-hmm.
Natalie, you've been drinking.
No.
Sure.
Googling it now.
Oh.
What? This fairy. I'm being so scouse tonight. What? This what?
Yeah. So, Gattaca Brow. Yeah.
There.
You know where the GP
Please, no one
surgery
come to my
is?
house and kill me if she discloses my location.
I'm not going to say your location.
Well,
so
there.
you know where the GP practice is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, opposite my old shop.
Yes.
There's a little tiny footpath next to it.
With the gnomes.
Yeah, well, it's got fairy stuff in there.
I know where you mean. I took my dog there. I know.
The fairies of Gattaca.
Who does that?
I've no
I bet
idea.
it's a cute little old man. Oh, I definitely.
It's got little fairy houses and stuff all built into the stonework and the trees and stuff, and the little, they dress it up for all kinds, for Christmas and all the rest of it, and it's so cute. Any kids walking down there would just be like, "This is the coolest place. The fairies live here."
I'll take the boy to have a little look. Wow, there's a shop down in, so what's the next village down? So you leave Glastonbury, it's not Wells, it's the next one, and they've got a fully decked out shop that's all very psychedelic, so right up my street, and with all the little fairy doors and stuff. Do you know what? A couple of years ago for my little girls, my nieces, I got all like little fairy doors and like hid them in places, and just seeing that look of. But my question is, it's all anything to do with fairies or elves, anything like that. It's all been so woven into our lives. Like, look at the Tooth Fairy. Why do you think this is? Why do we use fairies and folklore and elves and all of that magic to tell stories? Because, I don't want to say they're not real because they'll die.
Yeah.
But, let's be logical grown-ups. We've never caught one. We've never got one in our pockets or anything. But why is there always a narrative of fairies throughout all of our stories? Like, where's that come from, do you think?
I don't know. It must have started somewhere, mustn't it?
Let's have a little look.
Starts with people taking mushrooms.
Well,
that's why they have like little fairy circles and stuff. I'm convinced.
I'm saying nothing.
There's a lot of people who talk about fairy circles and fairy glens and stuff in Delamere Forest being very prevalent for fairy activity.
Well,
Don't
they
know how
say, don't
accurate that
they,
is.
that if you step into a fairy ring, you could lose, you could go off for millennia and not know. You never age, you go into a dimension. And there's a really great book that I adore, and I think I've shared it on this chat before. It's called The Mists of Avalon, and it tells the tale of Morgaine, who was the Lady of the Lake. So she's Lady of Avalon, which is the fairy realm, which is centered around Glastonbury down in southwest England. And between the veil is thin between our world, Avalon, and then the fairy realm. And they would often entice beautiful men into the fairy realm by stepping into a fairy ring. And once you go into that, like, years can pass, no one ever ages. It's very beautiful in the fairy realm. Everything is extra bright, extra colourful, extra da, 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 da. And one wonders, is that just a parallel universe that we've not slipped into yet? Man, I want to go to that parallel universe right now.
Could
So,
be.
where
They
do
could be like
fairies?
little stargates.
Do you think? I
Fairy
think at this
stargate.
point. Oh, that's Lucy's so cute. We miss you, girl. There are other household fairies
Oh,
too.
I like that.
You know, when like you'd lose something and like I don't know if this is just like a Catholic thing, you'd like pray to like Saint Michael or Saint Christopher to bring it back. My mum would always say, leave something silver out for the fae, and they'll provide you with something. So that's quite cute. So the oldest fairies on record in England were first described by the historian Gervase of Tilbury in the 13th century. Brownies and other hobgoblins are guardian fairies. I didn't know that one. They are the useful ones and do housework and odd jobs around the house. Well, I could do with me a hobgoblin right now.
Me too.
Considering like obviously no one watching knows what's actually going on in my home right now, but the girls do. I could do with it. Basically, my sewage pipe has burst, so there's literally a flowing river of. Oh God, I'll deal with that.
Poop.
Poopies. Right. So, a fairy is a type of mythical being or legendary creature found in the folklore of multiple European cultures, including Celtic, Slavic, Germanic, English, and French folklore, in the form of a spirit, often described as metaphysical, supernatural, or I don't know what that word is, preternatural, whatever. Myths and stories about fairies do not have a single origin, but rather a collection of folk beliefs from disparate sources. Various folk theories about the origins of fairies include casting them as either demoted angels or demons in a Christian tradition. Oh, why? No offense to anyone who follows Christian beliefs, but why does everything beautiful have to become demonized? Like I don't get it. I don't get that.
It's control.
Were you girls in the brownies and the guides and stuff?
You know, I lasted a week.
Well, I was in the brownies for years because I was very good with like that dip, 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 no, dop, 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 and the rest of it. But all of the little groups, the sixes that you have there, were for me were all named after like fairies, and I was in the imps. I was an imp, probably because I'm a bit mischievous, I guess. But a lot of the stuff to do with the brownies and guides has got links back to fairies, fae, that kind of stuff.
So it's like woven in, isn't it? It's like woven into our culture through the way we live and stuff. You know, it's super interesting, and I don't think we spoke about it. And it's when Queen Elizabeth got deaded, and at a funeral, didn't the Archbishop of Canterbury? I'm going to start giggling now because it's going to come out like an innuendo, and I don't mean it rude, and it always happens. Didn't he have to get his wand out and break it?
Yeah.
He did, didn't he? He had
He
to get his
did.
wand out,
Yeah.
and then he snapped his wand, and that was symbolic. And I remember watching it, being like, "Wow!" Like, But he
Oh,
did.
that
He was a
That
wand
come
involved.
about.
so Masonic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Let me get this up. I was gonna
But the whole idea of like fairy tales and stuff, I mean, that goes back like 6,000 years and it's just kind of transformed. And the Brothers Grimm, that was, I think, I mean, the fairy tales they used to have, I mean, they weren't designed for kids, were they? They were actually they were pretty grim to begin with.
I used to love
And
the tales of the elves and the shoemaker, where
yeah,
they
but
Oh, I
they
sewed
don't
used
all
to
the
know
have
boots
so
that.
together.
much. Yeah, the
Oh,
elves
that
and the
was a lovely
shoemaker, that's a
story.
bit of a mad one, isn't it?
I don't know.
Rumpelstiltskin, that
Oh,
freaks me out.
I didn't like him.
No,
He was a
no.
nasty. Yeah, he was a nasty.
Yeah.
And he's depicted as a bit of a nasty so and so on Shrek,
Mhm.
isn't he? He's a bit like,
Yeah.
here's an. Oh, they talked about House of Fairies to us. So our Lucy, she was in the guides. Is it guides and brownies?
Brownies mainly, yeah, but yeah, she was a
She was
gnome.
gnome.
So we've
I
got
was
an
a
imp
gnome.
and a gnome. Holly, what
Yeah.
would we have been?
I wasn't. I was out. I
Little
think
troll.
There's no
Yeah.
classification that had been made for Holly at that point.
No, I remember. No, I do remember my mum taking me, and you know, I think I lasted. I think I went to one, and it just yeah. Well, it's very hard to tame me at the best of times, but I just don't think she did though, and I did. I joined an organization when I was about. I think I was in high school, maybe so 12, perhaps. Um, we did the Woodcraft Folk, which is like a global organization, but was a bit more hippy dippy, a bit more liberal. But yeah, that again, there's a theme here. Only lasted a short while. So Nat, me and you spoke about elementals. I don't really know the difference. I was just, are they fairies? A Elementals, a theory that fairies at Tal were intelligent species distinct from human and angels. An alchemist classed gnomes and sylphs as elements, meaning magical entities who personify a particular force of nature and exert powers over these forces. Folklore accounts has what's that program? Have you ever felt like this? Remember, was it
Going around the twist.
Round the Twist? Do you remember the episode where the kid did
There
a
are some
wig?
people that believe that they are. So if we think about one of the elemental beings that's known.
Oh, we lost her. High strangeness again.
Don't know. Maybe.
We are just having the worst connection this evening, aren't we? Natalie, Nat, you there?
We see you.
Hello.
You're blinking, but you're not saying anything.
We are just limping through this show at the
Yeah.
moment.
Round the twist.
But do you remember there was an episode where the kid was trying to do a pedal over the wall, and and then there was a water nymph that helped him do the way, because no one ever remembers that episode, so I either banged my head, but that must have been an elemental, surely. I think we've lost now. Are you there? But